Good morning, my dear students. Today we are discussing with the new concept that is fate maps. So here the word has its meaning fate and the maps. So map, you already know that it is a diagrammatic picture of what that is the organs. So where exactly the organs have to be formed, that will be decided by the diagrammatic picture, and that what we call it as the fate maps. And today we are going to discuss about the fate maps. So first thing, so look at the picture here. So this is how exactly, this is the amphibian fate map. So during that is a gastrula stage. So you know that after the cleavage, so the next it is the morula and then the blastula, and it will leads into the next stage, what we call it as the gastrula stage. So coming to the definition of the fate map. So a fate map is a diagram of an egg, or it may be in the blastula. So that will indicate the fate of each cell, or it may be a region at the later stage of development. So this has become, that means the fate maps has become the essential tool in many of the embryological experiments. So this will provide the researchers with information on which portion of the embryo will normally become which larva or the adult structure. The analysis of the fate of each blastomere after first and the second cleavage is called as cytogeny or cell lineage study. So here it's not easy. There are so many methods for the construction of fate map. So here is some of the method, how exactly the fate map of different types of animals can be constructed. First one, that is by observing the living embryos. In some invertebrates, the embryos that will be very transparent, and they will be having relatively few daughter cells that will be remain close to one another. It has been possible to look through the microscope and trace the descendants of a particular cell to the organ they subsequently formed. So this is by observing the living embryos only you can draw the fate map. Second method, that is vital dye marking. Dye, you know, the color. So most embryos do not have the facilities, as earlier said, that is the transparent, different colors, etc. It was in 1929 Ocht was able to trace the fate of the different areas of amphibian eggs by applying the dyes. So these dyes that will only stain the cells, that does not kill them. So that is where they are going to dye with the, that is a coloring. The third one, that is radioactive labeling and fluorescent dye. So a variation of a dye marking technique is to make one area of the embryo, that is the radioactive. So the donor embryo is taken and it is grown in the solution containing radioactive thymidine. This thymidine base is subsequently incorporated into the DNA of a dividing embryo. This is the third method you can all construct the fate map. Fourth one, that is the genetic marking. So radioactive and the vital dye marking have their own drawbacks, such as dilution over many cell division and the laborious preparation of slides. One permanent way of cell marking is to create the mosaic embryos which is having different genetic constitution. By doing so, the fine structure or map of chick brain and skeletal system can be made. So these are the different methods which are used in different types of animals based on their embryos. Observing the living embryos and also applying the vital dye marking, radioactive labeling and fluorescent dye, and also using that is genetic marking. So here it is an example, some of the fate maps of different types of animals. In the first picture, it is staining the dorsal side of animal pole, which leads to the staining of the brain and the anterior notochord. So this happens to take place in the amphibian, that too in the blastula stage embryo. You can see the coloration, stained brain and also that is the stained notochord. So by this way they can be known that which organ it is going to formed in which region. The second, it is a fate map using a fluorescent dye. You can see in this picture, that is the fluorescent dyes to make their fate map studies later, which helps in the development of the embryo. You can see in the picture. And here that is the vital dye staining. So this is how exactly it is also in case of amphibian embryos, where exactly Yolk's method for making specific cells of the embryonic surface with the help of the vital dyes. So this is some of the fate maps of different types of animals. So moving on with, so what exactly pre-assumptive organ forming areas? When you are studying with the fate maps, you must know that is pre-assumptive organ forming areas. So the word meaning organ forming areas, you know that. But what exactly the pre-assumptive? Here certain areas which are found in the blastula which can be clearly marked out. These are referred to as pre-assumptive organ forming areas. This name is given because of the pre-assumption that these areas give rise to a particular organs or the tissue in case of the adult frog. The arrangement of pre-assumptive organ forming areas have been confirmed by marking experiments. In these experiments, certain dyes are used in early stages of division to ultimately find out which part of the future embryo consists of a known dye. By this method, the pre-assumptive organ forming areas of the blastula has been mapped, and these maps are called as fate map. So a fate map may be defined as the topographical surface of the blastula with respect to the ultimate fate of that area in the adult frog. The significance of the blastulation lies in the fact that the pre-assumptive organ forming areas are arranged in a specific plane in order to facilitate their arrangement during the next stage of development. So when you are learning with the pre-assumptive organ forming areas, you must know that there are three germ layers: ectoderm, mesoderm and the endoderm. The outermost region, that is the ectoderm region, consists of two pre-assumptive regions. That means there are certain regions which are found in the blastula which can be clearly marked out. So that is, there are two pre-assumptive regions, that is pre-assumptive epidermis and the pre-assumptive neural plate region. So this pre-assumptive epidermis, which is present on the anterior, ventral and lateral parts of the animal hemisphere. The second one, that is the pre-assumptive neural plate, occupies the dorsal lateral part of the vegetal hemisphere. You know that, animal and the vegetal hemisphere. The other organ forming areas are, for example, the head develops from the anterior parts of the neural plate and epidermal region. In the epidermal region of the head are found the preassumptive areas of the ears. The preassumptive eye region occupies the mid-dorsal part of the neural plate. So the second one, that what we call it as the germ layer, mesoderm. So that will form a ring between ectoderm and endoderm. This is divided into preassumptive notochordal and somoid region. The endoderm occupies the posterior half of the vegetal hemisphere of the blastula. Though the preassumptive organ forming regions are marked off in the blastula, it is not complete and it is not the final. Hence the egg of the frog is said to be that what we call it as intermediate type. So the blastomeres at this stage, they are capable of totipotency. Totipotency, that is nothing but what we call it as, they have the capacity of developing into all other structures. There is no specific region which is not totipotent from the beginning of the development. This region is the gray crescent area. This gray crescent area gives rise to notochord and also to the mesoderm. In addition to this, it can induce the neighboring cells to develop into the neural tube. So that is what there are two preassumptive organ forming areas, that is preassumptive epidermis and the second one, that is the preassumptive neural plate. So moving on with, when you take a fate map of a typical chordate blastula. So there are so many diagram or the pictures you can see during the blastula stage. So here there is a broad ectodermal area in the animal hemisphere which forms the epidermal layer of the skin. So this is known as epidermal ectoderm. You can see in this picture. A relatively smaller ectodermal area lies below the epidermal ectoderm. This area we call it as neuroectoderm, since it contributes for the formation of neural tube and also the nervous system. A crescent area below the neuroectoderm is designated as notochordal area, which give rise to the notochord of the embryo. On either side of the notochordal area are two lateral areas. These constitutes the prospective mesoderm. Most of the yolky vegetal hemisphere blastomeres collectively form the prospective, that is the endoderm. At the caudal margin of the notochordal area is a small strip of blastomeres, that what we call it as precaudal plate region. This region mainly gives to some of the head mesoderm. So this is exactly the typical chordate fate map in case of blastula stage. Here in this picture you can clearly make out, so where exactly you will see the nervous system, blood, kidney, somites, heart, and also the formation of the notochord and all. So when you take about the overview of fate map, preassumptive areas. So here in this you can see that is the preassumptive ectoderm anterior, where you can see that is preassumptive epidermis and preassumptive neural plate. So next that is the preassumptive notochord you can see. Later preassumptive mesoderm has been divided there, that is the somatic mesoderm and lateral plate mesoderm, and the last one, that is the pre-assumptive endoderm, which lies at the posterior, that is precaudal endoderm. So this is the overview of fate map. Thank you.